What's up, guys?
How's it going?
Look who it is.
It's me.
It's Truck Stuff in the flesh. And he said, JV, let's tackle this 37 clearance kit from AEV.
Yes.
So what are we looking at today?
Well, we've got a little bit of trimming to do.
Mm-hmm.
We've got a little bit of fender modification, a little bit of frame modification. Nothing structural, so to say, on the frame, except for the front frame support mount. Anyway, it's a very well-designed kit. AEV wouldn't put it out if it wasn't.
Mm-hmm.
But, yeah, we get to do some frame cutting and some body cutting.
Yes, sir. Let's go ahead and jump into it. So far, we had to remove the wheel wells, the front skid plate with the closeouts here. And these are these plastic pieces. We're going to have to cut these. And you have to remove your fender flares. Remember to unplug them.
Yes, unplug your lights from the fender flare.
You also have to remove these brackets and the one back there. Those were 14s, and I believe these were
17.
No, they were small. Well, no, these were 17s.
Yeah, those are 10s.
Those are 10s there. So yeah, at this point, most people are probably going to have problems with the cut. So yeah.
What you got to do is you get the templates with the kit, and you've got to, we'll show you. You got to cut them out good, right? You got to make sure that you cut on the lines. So these are all of the different pieces that get cut out from the template patterns. Now we've got to get them put up to where we're going to actually make the cuts. So we're going to go ahead and figure out exactly where these go on there and get them stuck on there, make some lines so that we can follow that, and then we'll come back to you and show you that. All right. So stick around. Don't go nowhere. We'll be right back. All right. So we just get our stuff, our small parts packages. I don't throw these away yet because in the instructions, it's going to tell you to grab fastener out of package number, blah, blah, blah. So there we go. Set your stuff in a magnetic tray. Put them in there. Same with the other side. And this has a two-part, and you got these two little brackets in there. So bada bing. So we are going to cut these out so that we can align them with spots already drilled on the fender. And once we get these cut out and get it aligned, then we can center punch that hole right there.
Okay.
So it's pretty self-explanatory. Once you stumble over the instructions once or twice, like we did, and go, that doesn't make sense. Be very careful. It's the little things right now that are going to really make it easier or not so easier when we get going on this. So
Yeah, slow and steady wins this race, right?
yeah, you could say that. So we get those lined up where we cut those holes out, and then we went from the back side of the template where it gives you the center punch spot and center punch.
Nice.
And that gives you that little spot. Now we can drill that hole. We'll go to the other side, line it up, and do the same thing over there. There's basic. We'll come through and make it a little bit better. So now we've used the cutoff wheel to get to that point. We're going to take the really sharp edges off with it's a 60 grit, but it's worn down, so it's not going to just hog away a lot of metal really fast. So. And this is why we do it, to get those off of there. You got the template on here. Well, first of all, you're going to ask me, how did you get that wax off the frame, Jar? Figure it out on your own. It's not that hard, and give you a hint. It took about 5 seconds to get that wax off. Wasn't a chemical, wasn't a wire brush, was not a scraper. It was easy. Think about what is wax. Anyway, so we got the wax cleared off. Now we got the template drawn out on there. Now we get to go through and cut. Trick from an old masonry guy I watched on YouTube one time, where you can radius with a fairly large cutoff wheel, but then I cut 2 pies out of that and then used a pair of channel locks, broke them off, and then sanded it all smooth, baby. That's how we like it, smooth. We want that to look good, smooth. There we go. So we're not going to show you every little step of this way, every little tip and trick, whatever. Again, I'm not going to teach you how to do it. I want you to bring it to me so I can do it for you. But anyway, here we go.
You're gonna have to take this pencil brace here, flip it on the opposite side. The bolts have to be going in a different direction as when you probably took it apart. That way you have more clearance. We already put up all the new hardware, bolts it in, so you're gonna reuse all the bolts. And now we just gotta figure out these brackets here. So you have a few here. And then from there, we'll let you guys know what's next.
Okay, so when we're doing these closeouts, there's your best friend right there. So this is what it looks like after you get the 2 pieces put together. There's the other piece, and those are the pieces that we cut off of it, okay? So just take your time, follow the template diagram. You know, I trace it on there with a silver marker. We're gonna clean this silver marker off. And then once we get the multi-tool, it's gonna leave some little boogers on there. I just take a blade and I'll come through and trim them off, just like that, you see? So clean it up, make it look good. You don't have to cut no material off. You just want to make sure everything is nice and smooth.
And then you have to leave.
Yes, this little tab right here. Yes. You have to leave this little tab on there.
Can you show them?
Because you have.
Oh yeah. Yep, right there.
That hole right there that's going to go through with that plastic rib nut. Lesson number 101 in using a multi-tool. Aim it at the project Pull trigger.
Just like that.
Just like that. Don't shut it off yet. You see that? So, see all the little boogers that's left on there? You can't just let that stay there. So, we're going to come back through and we're going to scrape these things off, okay? If you feel so inclined and you trust yourself, you can also do this. Sanding disc. Very, very, very light touch. Especially when you got 36 grit on there. But even still, you have to come through with a blade and you have to knock all of this off just to make it look good. And you want it smooth so somebody doesn't cut their fingers on it, right?
Some of you guys probably watched this footage on truck stuff, but if you stay till the end, you're in for a treat, because now you get to see my truck in its lifted form. Now, I have not posted the footage yet for that, but stay tuned. We are going to be showing you guys this McGoy's lift kit. This is a 4-inch kit. However, it's only a 2-inch kit for AT4X and ZR2, okay? With that being said, I like this clearance kit. I think that for the most part, it is a nice addition. However, it would have been nice for them to give us a little bit more instruction on how to cut the fender flare. On my truck, we cut it the best we could, and it was just good enough. But I think for most people, get a hot knife and take your time. This is probably the hardest part, because if you mess this up, you got to buy a new fender flare, unfortunately. So that's why I say that's the hardest part. Obviously, cutting the frame and part of the fender out it's not hard stuff, but you know, you have to have the right tools to do that. Now, these are 38 by 13 and a halves, and for the most part, I was able to clear with this AEV clearance kit, but they call it a 37-inch kit, and they're recommending 12.5-inch tall tires. Now, every truck's a little different depending on the offset of your wheels. That's something else you have to consider too. So for me, I was rubbing on the frame over here, and I actually did put a little bit of coating on my frame to cover it up. I've since driven the truck, and with this lift, I'm not rubbing anymore. Now, here's something that's really interesting. You guys told me to turn up my torsion keys, right? So I did that, and there's a video coming really soon. You don't want to miss it. Such a bad idea, and I'm so glad that I was already planning to lift my truck, because the ride turning up the torsion keys is so terrible. My reaction will give it to you. I'm not even trying to put on a show in that video. It's terrible. And so you'll see now, check this out. You see those angles? That's why I highly recommend you get this McGoy's kit. If you're someone that's gonna modify your truck anyways, and you want that big boy stance, this kit is perfect for that. And it actually helps get this CV axle more straight compared to the factory, along with that tie rod, and hopefully you guys can see how straight those are. But I do recommend the clearance kit, but I will say it's a lot of money. And if you're only running 37 by 12 and a half, I would just say skip it. But if you're trying to be like me and you want to run these 38 by 13 and a half, you're going to need that kit along with an actual leveling, or not leveling, excuse me. You're going to need the lift kit, because turning up the torsion keys, I was still rubbing with that. I don't know why with this McGoy's kit, it somehow miraculously did give me a little bit more clearance. Not much, but it definitely kept me from rubbing on the sway bars right up in here. It was rubbing just a little bit before the lift, and on the frame back there just slightly. I didn't even cut this part out, and that's a recommendation that they had. But remember, I have a plus 19 offset, 5.7 inch back spacing. So that's probably another factor there too. So stay tuned for the next videos. If you have any questions, I'll try to answer them. The clearance kit for that mud flap install is pretty easy. We didn't show that because we ran out of time. But if you follow the instructions, you won't mess it up. So later.